If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Hello everyone, Dan14 Prime here. I want to do a video share today with you guys on the Hot Toys quarter scale Star Wars Return of the Jedi Darth Vader. Now the figure itself here is dang near 20 inches tall, plus he's standing on this base which is probably like another 5 or 6 inches tall, so you're talking 25 inches, let's call it, in height, all packed up, which really gives this quarter scale Hot Toy a statuesque quarter scale size, scale, and presence. But it is of course still a Hot Toy. So we're going to have lots of options to pull him down off the stand, use a lower rise stand, of course pose the figure around however we'd like, and we'll take a look at all that today. Apologies for some of the unsightly surrounding. Again, he is just so large. I just can't get him all in frame like this with a nice backdrop, but that'll get better as we parse things down. This figure largely comes with everything you see here in front of you. Again, the base, which has two different ways it can be configured. Of course, the figure, and he is all lit up here. It's hard to maybe see. I'll dim the lights in a second, but the base lights up. The light boxes on the belt light up. The chest lights up. The lightsaber lights up. And then the little head display piece there down on the left is hilarious. It lights up with a white light at the bottom, but he's got like a red light over the top of the head. So Anakin's always working on his tan when he's in that little exclusive display base. So here we are pretty much all blacked out. You can see the chest, the light boxes, and then the bases. And oddly, the lightsaber doesn't seem to light brightly enough to be seen. And here I've just turned the lights on a bit marginally so you can make out the overall figure and how those lights are now popping. And again, it's really the lightsaber. This does not look like we're getting much brightness from it. So there it is off, if it's even noticeable. And there it is back on. Probably super faint, barely noticeable. I will add here the figure comes with a swooshing lightsaber effect, similar to what we often see with the 6 scale figures. And he comes with various hands, so you can get him in your iconic Vader pose of your choice. Okay, let's jump in on this thing now and get a little tighter here so we can get a cleaner look. Okay, let's get the figure down and take a closer look in here just for a sense of scale. I've got him next to the 6 scale A New Hope Vader. And as you can see, he basically comes up to about the middle of Vader's chest on the quarter scale figure. Just so you can appreciate how big this quarter scale Vader is. Again, at dang near 20 inches. I will say just having this A New Hope here in front of me, the 6 scale, they did put all kinds of electronics in that one, voice boxes and things that were a pain in the butt on a figure that small, but would have been cool actually now that I think about it, and worked a lot better on a quarter scale figure. So something they could have done to this new quarter scale Vader to make it even cooler. But their experience with that with the 6 scale figure was such a nightmare they probably said they don't want to go back there. Okay, so I'm going to museum pose this guy up, and we'll go in close and just throw a lot of light on this guy because he's black on black on black, so it's hard to pick out the details. But I've got the cape back, the lights blasting, so hopefully you can see everything pretty well. I think excellent helmet, great sculpt. It's got all the gimmicks in it as well in terms of being able to take it apart all the way down to the head sculpt. So I'll show you that in a moment. The shoulder pads there with the two-tone, black and gunmetal gray, and you get a bit of a split there at the seam, which helps with some bit of articulation. And of course, he's got the pleated tunic coming down to the midsection before it smooths out. The light box and the belt boxes there, which are off at the moment. And then the belt and belt buckle look pretty good as well. I got some nice shine to them. And then on the sleeve, you see sort of like the leather-like material with the fine stitching, just the seam all the way across. Classic Vader look. And it's the same really behind the torso as well. They don't see as much of it, just a bit below the chest box. I'm just going to drop down here a smidge because I want to show you the chest box. It's just like a plate here. Pegs in. You just pull that off. Like 4 pegs. And there's a switch there. Batteries go there. Flip that switch up. And the lights start going. And we just peg that back in. And the belt boxes as well. Again, batteries already in it. Switches are on the bottom. There's that one on. And that one. Switches go to the left to turn on. And then here, just dimming down the lights so you can see it all in action. Again, a couple green lights on each of the belt boxes. And the flickering pattern of red lights up there on the chest. And the directions say, should those lights ever stop flickering in that pattern, that's the sign that your batteries are low and need to be replaced. So let's come back up top to the head sculpt here. And I figure it's not really worth rotating this guy because once you go behind Vader, it's just like a big black cape. So I didn't put him on the turntable. I'll give him a little spin here just so you can take a look at the shape of that helmet. Attracting dust like crazy. I keep wiping it and wiping it. I've used the old lint brush on the cape as well, and we'll need to do that again before he goes up on display. But just give you a feel for the shape of that. I mean, it looks good. Super shiny, glossy. Will say the one issue I had to watch out is I had this little tusk fell off. I didn't even notice it till my wife found it on the counter, and I've been trying to fix that back, and it's being a little stubborn. Seems like an easy thing that should fix, but really getting it to secure in there has been a challenge. So watch out for your tusks, because they are separate pieces. So the big gimmick on this guy is the layered helmet effect, right? Which you get for the Return of the Jedi. So this helmet here will just pop off. Got a peg in there. We'll peg into the top of this layer of the head. And you get this underneath, which is awesome. Just, multi-toned gray and black, gold and silver accents. Just, all the mechanicals underneath there. Look really great. And then in the back you get, again, all the mechanicals and electronics through the collar, and then the gruesome back of the head, all mangled up. Under these harsh lights, he's coming off looking a little whiter than he is. It's actually got more of a pinkish tone in it. But you can check all that out. I'll give it the full spin here just so you can see the mask. And even, top of the dome, you get some of that detail. So this would, of course, be for the scene where you can kind of see through the back of the pod and see the back of his head. And then you can even go so far as to take off this piece, which is magnetized on the top of the head. This has got a magnet, that has got a magnet, and there's even a bit of detail there on the inside of this, which is pretty cool. Didn't really need to do that. And then here you're probably already noticing where in the hell does face go, and that's because this is just a blank. So you get sort of the face, the head just up through the front of the ear, and then it just goes blank, because you'd scratch the hell out of it if it was the real head sculpt. But that's how that looks all the way around. We come up here, and you can check out all the detail there, in the faceplate in front there. And then this freaky thing just kind of pulls out. And you go get your Anakin head sculpt here, which is looking pretty sweet all the way around, but you get sort of like this flat chin, which is odd because it just slots right down there into the front and gets hidden. Okay, so backing off some of that extreme light blast effect, which makes it harder to see all the black details, but we're going to focus on the head sculpt right now. So fantastic detail through there, just sculpt, wrinkles through the forehead. Look at the cheeks, just the age through there, the bags under the eyes, and of course just all the nasty scarring he's got going on across the cheek there. And of course, the top of the head, which was as well on the prior blank sculpt. So you get it all the way around here, for that ending scene where he is ultimately revealed and shows his face to Luke. This is where that exclusive head display stand comes in huge, because I can't imagine showing him like this out on display. You're going to want him at his most powerful, but it's a fantastic accessory and fantastic work done on the head sculpt. So being able to kind of display that just next to him by his feet or something and show it off. One reason why you might want to pick up this little exclusive kit with the extra stand. And definitely check the link down in the description below. If you're interested in picking this figure up, I'll jump you out to Sideshow. You can pick up the version of the figure that's right for you. And as always, any shopping you do through those links supports the channel, no cost to you, and I do very much appreciate that. So then again, just to build them back up, slide off the head, get your blank head and gear it so it goes towards the pole goes towards the front of the face, so you get it slid back in there, right? Grab the mask, and this can be a bit tricky. It magnetizes on the top, but you want it to lay correctly down here because you want to line these up. Get back to blasting a bit more light here, but you can see this is sort of too far forward. So you want to jiggle that back. Just get that correct, because that diagonal line there from the lower piece to the mid piece here should line up for you. And then you can just grab the helmet and again peg on top here. Find it easiest to make sure you're looking at it straight on to get oriented. And take that straight down top of the head. There you go, that's the head sculpt and all the cool gimmicks with it. Then here, just to jump down, hit the lower part of the figure. Again, the tunic straightens out. Again, there's that stitched leather-like material. Got the cod piece there and the shiny shin guard strapped on with like a leather-like boot. Let me go down and show you that. So it gets really shiny on the shin, but then you get more of a leather on the boot. And these pant materials are very much the same as what you see on the arms and everything. It's just that undersuit. Beneath all of that, cod piece sort of matches like the color of the gloves. So really when it comes to Vader, the front's sort of what you get because the big cape's always, laying over there. But, I'll show you around the front here, or the top half of the figure. In the shoulder pad, there's the stitched leather sleeve. Profile view. In the back is just all this massive cape material. But if we get that up out of the way, so the shoulder pad kind of splits there in the middle. Again, some stitching with the tunic there, and then the belt going across. Seems like it velcros there in the back. And spin them around this side. Tunic leaves some room there underneath. All the way around. One thing I didn't point out previously, and it's kind of hard to see, but the cape here, he's got the chain. It's like a rubberized chain. Sits pretty high up on the figure. The directions say it can be pulled down, and there's a little hook here on the chest, which I hate that they put that little hook there, because it seems like it kind of forces our hand. I mean, it says you have the option to display the chain up higher or hook it down on there, which almost makes me feel like I'm obliged to hook it down there, because otherwise I just have that metal piece sitting there. But it is not easy. I've been trying to get this rubber chain to stretch down there and push it into as long of a form as I can. I'm getting closer. But getting it over the top of that hook is a challenge. Though I think once I got it around it, it would fit. But I don't love that. I kind of would be fine to leave it like that. But again, the little silver hook hanging off there is a bit of an eyesore. So it makes me want to hook the chain to make it go away, but I cannot get it down there. And frankly, I'm not sure if I'd like it that low on the figure. So something I'll continue to play with, but not crazy about that design. Must have gave that one to the intern to do. Again, here down lower half of the figure, you can check out those light boxes if you haven't already. But you're going to have the tunic, of course, all the way around. And when you go underneath the tunic, you get the leather-like pants. The cod piece here, it's nice and flat, so it's not too bulky. I like that, but it's got this odd strap, diaper-type strap that comes around here. Maybe I just got to pull that up to tighten it down a bit. It's also a bit crooked, so that's... Might want to manage that. But then, yeah, back of the figure here. Back of the boots, the shin guards kind of strap across, so you get these straps going in the back of the boot. The shin guard just starts to come right across like that. And are super, super shiny. That's really the figure overall. And one last thing to probably spend a second on the figure is the gloves. I mean, they're molded, so you get a nice sculpt to them. They just wrist peg on deep down into the glove, so you can rotate them. And they keep that nice flare there. Down at the bottom, they keep their shape nice. Kind of squared off down there at the bottom. And this is, if you only knew the power of the dark side fist, which we all misspeak as you don't know the power of the dark side. And then over here, he's got a right lightsaber holding hand. Okay, let's check out some of the goodies that come with the figure. We've showed you the head sculpt already. This is the stand. And the exclusive display stand. Again, it lights up here. The lights are on, so it's harder to tell, but lights up here, and he gets like a red tanning light from up above. Maybe you can see that a bit better now. See, Anakin's tan has always got to be on point. There you can see that little red light up there. And yeah, it's basically, exactly like the main figure. Guess if I ever needed tusks, I could pull them off of there. But yeah, it's got all the nice collar work, all of that nice lower plate work. Again, the head can just slide out of there. And if you're using that head on the figure, then you can come back here and store your other pieces on this piece. Again, just lining this thing up a bit. There we go. And then even the helmet, there's a tab up here. Okay, there we go. Had to pull that closer. I don't love blind pegs. Same issue with 6 scale Empire Strikes Back Vader. At least it's more of like a friction peg. This one's much more difficult. But it will tab up there, and then, you know, it's sort of like the helmet coming together look. And you can store those pieces as well like that. So you'll always be able to keep all of these head pieces out and looking good on display. Next up here is Vader's lightsaber. Very iconic, very recognizable. A bit chunky down here in the handle, where it takes three of those little watch battery cells. So that's probably why it's a bit chunkier down there. The switch to turn it on is here, underneath this cover. And again, back at the beginning of the video, it wasn't the brightest. It does look good though. It can hang off the belt there with, you know, hook there. It's also got a hook here. But very recognizable, and, you know, you get the straight blade. Of course, Hot Toys always tapers them a bit, which is sort of irritating, but it's what they do. And you saw this at the beginning of the video. Let me just double check. I don't know if I just got maybe, you know, not the best batteries, but it is a very faint light up effect. And I really just wonder if I just didn't get good batteries. There it's off. There it's on. So faint. And as I mentioned, we also get the swap out with the fan blade like this. And there's that. And it probably does even less, frankly, for the fan blade effect. And up next here, you have the assorted hands. Again, this is what makes this, in my opinion, you know, a bit cooler than a statue, because you can just pose it up differently. You have to get the pose right yourself, but then Vader has several iconic poses, and he'll be able to hit them all for you. So I don't know if you ever use this one, but this is, you know, if you want to have him with his ass kicked on the ground, you could have his head sculpt on and have with this on his right arm as well. Got some good wire effect in there, like real sort of wires all cut up in there. Over here, he gets his belt holding box wrists. There's these two hands. And again, just so you can see deep inside, you get the peg down in there. Hard to see because it's all just like black, but iconic pose there for sure. This one here, you can hold the lightsaber in the left hand if you chose. And then the rest of these are unique gesturing poses, as was the fist that is currently on the figure. But you have this here, a bit of a reach out type gesture. Should remember all these, but I can't seem to remember them all. There's this here. This almost looks like more of like Empire Strikes Back, sort of blocking Han's blaster effect gesture. What that reminds me of. This here is the point. And that would remind me more of A New Hope when he's lecturing Leia. But some of these could have specific Return of the Jedi moments as well. Hard to remember them all. And then this here, sort of an ARG or something, you know. Left hand. So all kinds of, you know, gesturing poses. Get out and Google famous Vader poses and, you know, be able to figure out like what exactly to put him in with all of these. So that's what's cool about going quarter scale hot toy versus quarter scale statue, is just the versatility of the piece here with Hot Toys. And then last up here is the figure stand. As you can see, and he does have the clear pull and just a crotch grabber up there to keep him balanced, you know, between the legs. Very Star Wars-esque look to the base. Again, it lights up with 3 AAAs. A switch down here. It lights up this top section here and here as well. And then this disassembles if you didn't really want the height to be, you know, dang near 26 inches. When you get Vader up on there, you can pull that apart. And you can just go with a more traditional Hot Toys kind of style Star Wars base there. Get the Darth Vader nameplate on there. You know, this piece here pegs in right here on a little hole. And then you can, you know, put the crotch grabber pull in there if you'd like, or potentially even just put the crotch grabber pull right over the top of that if you're just going to use this base. Now this standalone piece here, I mean, I guess you could use it like this. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, because it's, you know, very narrow, so you're not going to get the best balance. But it can stand as well on its own. And it's got the tabs here in the bottom, so that's how it just plugs into the grate of the lower base. And just cool Star Wars designs there. But I like the light. Check out the floor. Again, very kind of Death Star, Star Destroyer, iconic Star Wars kind of look to the base. You can get some details. I want it through on the side as well. So I dig this. I'm going to try to find the headroom to put it all together and put it on display like that so it looks more like a statue. So unfortunately, it's just going to cost me an extra 5 or 6 inches of headroom. So there you have it, guys. Quarter scale Hot Toys Return of the Jedi Darth Vader. I'm backed up wide again here to try to get all this in frame, everything you see in front of you. I didn't mention if you want to see the box and the pack out and the unboxing of this, which is very cool. Beautiful packaging. A cool raised Vader mask off the front of the box. Be sure to check out my Instagram, same handle, Dan14th Prime. You'll see lots of pics out there for the unboxing of this figure. A couple finer points I didn't yet mention in the video here. I didn't do articulation. It's limited. It's a big, bulky figure. The directions cover it well. Also, you're not going to be super dynamic with this figure, so you don't need to worry about it. It's going to do, I think, everything you need it to do. Main takeaways is you're getting basically 90 degrees forward at the shoulder, 70 degrees back, about 70 degrees straight out to the side. A good 90-degree elbow at least, about a 70-degree forward leg kick out, and a 90-degree knee bend. That's really it. Nothing at the waist, no waist twist, crunch, anything like that. And I don't think you'd need it anyway. And of course, you get some head movement there, in addition to some of the usual, wrist and ankle movement that you'd find on any Hot Toys Vader figure. And the other thing is probably just this cape. It's nice. It drapes. It's got like a satin inside and the cloth outside, and they didn't stitch it together. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not a seamstress, so they must have knew something in terms of how to make that leg right and why they do that, but you can find that sometimes having an odd effect to the cape that you need to sort of play with as you're posing it. But again, I think fantastic for what it is. For about $600 to your door, shipped all of this, so basically kind of quarter scale statue pricing. And you may prefer one or the other, but I think this is as good as any statue you'll find out there and gives you the flexibility to change up the poses, change up the look, lightsaber, no lightsaber, all kinds of iconic poses you can do with this figure versus always having it in one static pose. So the upside with this is you can do all that. The downside is, well, you have to do all that and make it look good. But I did get glad I picked it up. Again, link in the description below. If you're interested, hop through there, pick yours up. Any shopping you do through the link supports the channel, no cost to you. And I do very much appreciate that. Again, check out the Instagram, same handle, Dan14th Prime. And of course, any like, sharing, subscribing, and all of that you do supports the channel as well. So thank you very much for all of that. All right, guys, thanks for checking in on this Hot Toys quarter scale Darth Vader share out video. I'll see you next time.